Good afternoon, fellow ELKR Rotarians. It is a beautiful day. Enjoy the non-snowy roads while we have them. I don't know about you. I'm actually kind of excited for a little bit more snow tomorrow, and a happy kid at home makes for fun. Yeah, you're happy. Thanks for being happy for me. Yeah, it's good. All right. I would like to welcome Brian Smith to the podium to give us some thoughtful words.
Good afternoon. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Dear God, thank you for this amazing gift of Rotary, the fellowship and the service that's involved. May we ever be mindful of those in need here locally, nationally, and internationally. Please help us provide food to the hungry, to heal the wounds of hatred, to comfort those in sorrow, and bring peace to those living in areas of unrest. And as we enjoy our fellowship with one another today, please help us realize and internalize the ideals of Rotary truly in our service to mankind. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much, Brian. Andrew Harmon greeted you today and got everyone checked in. He's going to come up and introduce our guests.
Good afternoon. We do have a couple guests with us today. Actually, Bowen has a guest.
My coworker, Danielle, she's the manager of community government.
And Julie Cotton has a couple guests.
We have Andrea Chef joining us again for the final phase. Hopefully joining us here after our next board meeting.
Excellent. Welcome to all of our guests. We appreciate that you're here, and Rotarians, thanks for making everybody feel welcome. It's a great place to be on a Monday. Okay, if you have announcements to make, please come forward. And while you're doing so, I wanted to let you know that Howard Edwards, who's not only the club secretary, but also one of our foundation chairs, will be doing more Paul Harris Fellow Awards on February 7th and February 21st. And Howard apologizes, he could not be here today. So if you know you've got one of those coming, make sure you're here on the 7th or the 21st, or if you're online, we'll try to make sure and acknowledge you that way again too. And if you want to learn more about Paul Harris Fellows, please ask myself or Howard or someone who looks like they know what they're doing. That's always helpful. I discovered that it was actually a couple years of being a Rotarian until I really fully understood what Paul Harris Fellows were about. Turns out it's just a matter of donating money and having your money used by the foundation to do good and expand the things that we do out in the world around us. Next week, we've got Dr. AJ Mencius. He's a physician and president. He's going to talk to us about robot-assisted surgery. And on February 14th, we'll have Caleb Kripe. He's actually a member of the U.S. Olympic team and had swam, and I'm sure some of you know him. That was a new name to me, being relatively new to the area, but Caleb's got an awesome story to talk to us about. And make sure to check out Morning Division. They're going to be continuing to do hands-on service projects. Anybody happen to know what they've got coming up on Thursday? I do not. I didn't get in touch. Robin, nothing for Humane Society, not sure this time.
Yeah, Eric?
Yes, sir. Oh, hey, you're right there, Bob.
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, we probably will not meet on Thursday.
Sorry about that.
We've got people in Florida. I actually tested positive for COVID, so I'm isolating right now. And with the weather forecast, we are probably just going to cancel the meeting.
Hey, thanks for speaking up. We appreciate that. So if you didn't catch the first part, that was Bob Gerard just jumping in and saying that they will not be meeting on Thursday for a host of reasons. So forget that, and I'm not going to speak for Bob anymore. I'm going to make sure I reach out to him before meetings. Let's see. Aaron, you've got an announcement.
All right, good afternoon. I know I'm going to have to pay a fine for this, and I pay my fines on my app, so I will pay an extra $5. But I work with Patrick Industries, and we are partnering once again with Brandstar, which is a production company out of Florida, and they create the show Military Makeover with Montel Williams, and we've convinced them to come up to Indiana this time and remodel a home for a local military veteran. And so we are doing a casting call for the next 2 weeks. And so if you know of any military veterans around here that would need their home remodeled, this is not a ground up, this is a facelift or remodel, please let me know. And you can also check out Patrick Industries. We're going to put information on their social media page today, but they're especially looking for veterans that may have a young family as well, and somebody that we could not only remodel the home, but maybe make it safer for them if they have any disabilities or anything like that. So yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. And one thing I can say, and I forgot in my email this weekend as a reminder for this meeting, that one of the key and clearly overwhelming desires that the club has as far as what's been turned in on the survey that I put out there is really actively getting out and doing things in the community, whether that's hands-on or, there's a whole host of things that have come up, but most of that has involved you all wanting to serve out in the community. And so we will be asking, and it was a kind of a perfect thing that Aaron brought up, was just, this is some way that you can actually help and do good out in the community. We'll have more of those opportunities coming up. And once I get a little more data back from that survey, we'll also get a group together, have a meeting, anyone who's interested, and we can brainstorm and come up with some solutions to some of these things that have been put forth, which I think is, we want to make sure it's what you're looking for. And I think that's the key to this. So if you haven't filled out that survey, please do. I will resend the link, and I want as many people responding as possible. That would be awesome. Okay. I do have a resignation that I'll be taking to the board for their approval. Ken Pletcher will be resigning from the board. I don't have his letter. It got to Bill, but I will bring it in and let you all know. I have a feeling it will have some very warm things to say, but we'll miss Ken, and of course wish him continued the best and hope he can still come and visit us once in a while. So every week we raise a little money to help give to not-for-profits, and that is going to be coming up shortly. You'll see some of those applications. I'll get with Bill and we'll get the membership or the donations committee active, and please help us spread the word about that money being available. But to raise some money for that, which we do every week, I'm going to ask Anthony Hunt, the captain of the sergeants, to come forward today.
Thank you. So anyone who works at Patrick Industries, can you stand? Oh, Aaron, sorry. The only one? No, that's $5 then, thanks. Great. Hey, continuing to challenge my brain, I decided that I should try learning some Braille. To practice, I started reading a horror story, but I'm afraid something bad is going to happen. I can just feel it. Really. Bought a box of animal crackers recently. I had to take them back because, well, the seal was broken. I wasn't going to horse around. You thought I was lying. See how you, anyway. Hey, speaking of animals, what does the Chinese, Burmese, Hindu, Hebrew, Incan, Egyptian calendars all have in common? As opposed to, say, the Gregorian, Roman, and Russian calendars. Okay, that's a buck. They are lunar calendars, which is why they are based on a sliding scale, whereas the solar calendars are more exact in their nature. That becomes important. Why? You told us. No. Today is the Chinese New Year's Eve. This, in normal years, would be the year that there is the most fireworks that actually are sent off. Unclear whether that'll happen because actually there's a ban in China right now for fireworks, although they're pretty sure that many of those will be ignored anyway. February 1st is the beginning of the new Chinese year. Anybody know what the next year is? Okay, that's a buck. The tiger. Tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, pig, rat, and I'll save you. Just go ahead and put another buck. Save you. That'll be another buck. Is ox. We are ending the year of the ox. People who are oxes, they believe strongly in themselves, but are stubborn and hate to fail or be challenged. They're hardworking and honest as well. Oxes include Charlie Chaplin, Walt Disney, Margaret Thatcher, Morgan Freeman, Bruce Springsteen, Barack Obama, Princess Diana, George Clooney, Gal Gadot, and Simone Biles, who we recently saw this year. Tigers are thought to have a commanding personality and steadfast and resilient. At that same time, they're analytical, including Queen Elizabeth, Kenny Rogers, Stevie Wonder, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, and this will become important in a moment, Rafael Nadal. Jumping subjects. Globally, looking at polioeradication.org, there are 2 countries that still have cases of polio. Do you know which ones those are?
Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Correct, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And in both cases, there are currently only less than 50 cases in existence. So less than 100 people that have this disease in the world right now. We are just this close. That's a buck for the update. Speaking of updates, hey, sports, something I don't normally do too often, but I think something significant in this guy, Rafael Nadal, won the Australian Open. It was his 21st Grand Slam, the most ever. The first one he won in 2005. So he has been at the leading men's tennis for 17 years. Ashley Barty won the women's. Why is that important? She is the first Australian to have won the Australian Open since 1978. Her own country's tournament. Just out of curiosity, and for those of you who really don't give a damn about tennis, I did up until that whole knee debacle, which we've already talked about. Grand Slam is The Australian and US Opens, which are played on concrete, the French Open played on clay, and Wimbledon played on grass. If you can handle all of those surfaces, let alone throughout an entire year, yes, you definitely deserve it. Hey, will all fans who are Detroit Lions fans stand, please? Yeah, well, this is proof it's not just the quarterback, it's really the franchise. Pay a buck. Matt Stanford was great yesterday. Cincinnati beating Kansas City, LA beating San Francisco, the Bengals now playing the Rams in the Super Bowl. I'll let another sergeant poke at that. But the betting has already started for me. I lent a blind friend of mine some money. He promised to pay me back the next time he sees me. Okay, keep up, right? For those of you who are online, since you're not here enjoying this in person, pay an extra buck. And for those of you who have not been a sergeant before, pay an extra buck. And finally, starting February tomorrow, I start thinking about seed catalogs in spring. I love tomatoes, and those that smell great. You could say aroma is my favorite. Okay. And here are my 5 to have that be done. Those are good, man. I'll tell you what. It takes some talent. It takes some talent and some research for the. I don't know if we call those dad jokes or not. They're clean. I like that. That's good. All right. I forgot. I was going to actually. We kind of panned around, so everyone online actually has seen all of you. But what I did not do was put us in, we'll do this little gallery view right here, and most people probably by this point are not on camera, but we'll give everyone, we'll give everyone the chance to see who's online. If anyone's online and wants to put on a camera there, we can see you. I think we get almost everyone online. We've got 26 people, including us on there as well. So thank you all for being there online, and we're gonna try a virtual sergeant here at some point. Yeah, Anthony, we have one of you that we think just might be just right. And what we can do is have them come right up, and we can spin this around and have them approach the bench, and they can get their justice right there. How does that sound? Anybody, does that appeal to anybody online? That we could have the offender approach the bench and talk directly to the sergeant? Sergeant, judge? Judge, sergeant? All right. Okay. All right. It is that time again. Thanks everyone for maxing out if you didn't already. And all that money, it's going to do some great things. I look forward to that season. It's kind of a fun season of giving money away and also learning how that affects and makes our community a better place. Let me pin this. All right. Today, we have with us Francis DeSori. He is the executive director at Lexington House, and he made me promise to not give any real introduction of him, and he's going to do a little bit more of that for us. Francis is going to come up, and it's nice to meet you. I feel like, and I mentioned to Francis that we've got quite a few not-for-profit executive directors represented in our club, a lot of different groups represented here in Rotary. I tend to pride myself on knowing a lot of people, and nice to meet a new face and one who's certainly been in the community. I'm sure everyone here knows of Francis probably prior to me. So come on up, Francis.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis, and I got like 19 minutes and 30 seconds because I know most of the time I get like 3 minutes and then people start phasing me out. If I'm really bad, maybe a minute. So thank you for your time and the privilege to be here. Really quick, I'm here to talk about Lexington House of ELKR, Indiana. Does anybody know the other clubhouse in ELKR County? Did anyone know the name? Show of hands. Sir, what is it? Do you know the name of it? Who said Cordell? And you said County Clubhouse as well? So, challenge, we're going to go to the challenge. So we give away money to nonprofit. The nonprofit is the money. Challenge going. Lexington House. Cordell House is now the official name of the other clubhouse in ELKR County, but the ELKR County Clubhouse has now 2 clubhouses. And Rich Myers, the executive director, said when we would get a clubhouse, yeah, I forgot, thank you, Eric, I can't remember, I do drift. Sorry about those. Is that in ELKR County would get a second clubhouse, they would change their name. They're celebrating their 10th year, by the way, as clubhouse in this county, and we are going on our 2nd year. So, next question. Does anybody know what building is at 120 Lexington Boulevard? What is it called? Come on, you guys are ELKR. Oh, Chris. Well, yes and no. Good enough to get a challenge coin, but you already have one. So I'll give you 2 so you can give them to a friend. It's called the YWCA, right? It is a historical site, also known as Lexington House. And part of our story that I'm sharing today, we'll talk about that particular dot or element. And the third is about Rotary history. What was the second project of this Rotary Club? Give you a hint, 1917 was beginning of the origin, but anybody know what the second project you all took under? Nope. It's on the website.
Making a recommendation for Highway 33 coming through.
I would hug you if this wasn't that time of year, pandemic. That is absolutely correct. Back to the mic. You want to repeat the answer because you're spot on.
Studying and recommending the best route of 33 connecting us to St. Joe County, which became a merchandising route. Before that, we did not have that.
So your second project, 1917, your first project actually underway. The second one, I would assume would have been in that same time frame, was about, and I'm going to read it right from your website, and I'm going to tell you what the connection is to me presenting. A study and make a presentation to the Lincoln Highway Association to help determine the most acceptable western route of the Lincoln Highway, Route 33.
The historian should get that, you know.
That was pretty impressive, by the way, because most of us don't go to our own website. I went to yours, and when I saw that, that spoke to me because I am connected a lot to the Lincoln Highway. It has allowed me to do some things in my own personal life, and actually brought me here today in a roundabout way. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. That's for another conversation. So I was impressed that you all were connected to it. So we're going to connect 3 dots here today. One is going to be a little bit about me, less than a minute, because remember, I only had 3 minutes. Now I'm down to about 1.5 minutes. The second is really going to be about Lexington House of ELKR. And the third is going to be about Cordell House, connecting me to the broader scope of Clubhouse International. So before I go any further, How many nonprofits are in the room? Can I see your hands, please? Oh, wow, I'm impressed. All right, now the next question. How many social workers are in the room? Hey, whoa, blessings. Good to know, good to know. So how many people are familiar with the book, Good to Great? How many people know who's the author? Jim Collins. You already got a coin. Who else? Who else could say Jim Collins? Oh, right there. You're from Patrick. Patrick is not a. Oh, so the coins that are going out, by the way, if you're interested, you can see it's our brand. On the front side is Lexington House. It has a monarch butterfly in the back part of it. We were established in 2020. And by the way, that was in the middle of the early first year of the pandemic. And on the back side is the monarch in full color. And it talks about the journey of wellness. So you're familiar with Jim Collins, Good to Great, right? So most people in business for profit are. Those in nonprofit would know about this edition. This is an edition that I have used for many projects and in business over my 10 years serving this community, and that has been a while. When you say Chris has been connected for a while, Chris Pollock's a close friend of mine. We've done some very interesting things, most not for the table talk here, but we have been able to get kids out of IU who have been embedded. We're just talking about that, finally getting them out of IU Bloomington. So really quick about Francis, got 15 seconds on that. My education is I have a master's degree from Rutgers University of New Brunswick. Seems like a lifetime ago. Are you serious? No, oh, we got to talk later because you know what I'm saying. Wow. I'm sure things have changed because I'm old and you're not. Second is that I am a licensed clinical social worker by trade. And for those who may or may not know, licensed social work didn't really happen until '95 in Indiana. Prior to that was AC stuff. Anyway, I am one of those people. I've been in the trade for about 30, I have to look at my notes because I forget, 34 years, 27 years as a professional. Okay, really quick, 10 seconds left. I have 2 adult children, 1 RU grad and 1 Purdue. How many people have that combination in their family in the room? Yeah, right. Yeah, very interesting, very different combination. And then lastly, my employment history. I've had the great privilege to work for multiple nonprofits, and we have some of the best in the Midwest, in my opinion. One, I worked for Faith Mission at a place called the Annex. It was created in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. By the way, Faith Mission is a godsend as a homeless shelter. I don't know where your position is on that, but I got to tell you, I am so blessed to work with and have them in our community. Second is that I've worked for Oaklawn, our community mental health center. How many counties in the state of Indiana? Yeah, that was too easy. I could be throwing coins out like candy. How many community mental health centers in the state of Indiana? 10. I hope we never get that low. But I got to tell you, last check I checked was about 25. So you do the math and the ratio, how blessed we are to have a community mental health center here in this community. So I worked for them for about 20 years. And one of the elements that I did with them is I was the community director support program for severely persistent mental conditions for people who had them, adults who basically had like schizophrenia, schizoaffective, and bipolar, major depression ongoing, and their families that were impacted. And great honor to work and serve this community. But I also had another title known as the gatekeeper. Means I worked with the 5 state hospital programs around the state of Indiana for when our citizens needed to get treatment outside of our area. I would go down, be part of getting them linked and bringing them back if they would get back. And I would also be connected to the forensics state hospital, which is in Logansport. So I worked that for about 15 years. So that was part of my work for Oakland. And then there was this little side gig I did called the ELKR Flame Soccer Club. How many people have heard of that? Well, we did it in like 2005. Everybody steps in because of your kids. And at that point, they were saying, let's move it over to St. Joe County. And there was only like 40 people in the club. People like Chris Pollock and some other people stepped up and they said, this is ELKR. No, we're not leaving. By the time Chris and the board got done with it, I think we were like 400 to 500 athletes. I would say close to 50 teams and teams that playing nationally and were known nationally from ELKR, Indiana. Side note of that, I did get to work directly with someone by the name of Rex Martin. We redid his soccer complex, which took a lot of pride watching and hearing people from Indianapolis drive up to ELKR, Indiana. And it took even more pride when they would go home with loss. Not that I'm a competitive person, but I'm a social worker by trade. But this is ELKR. But I got to tell you what I took even more pride from. We would host the last 3 big tournaments for the state before everything moved down to Westfield. And they would come from all over the state of Indiana, and they would come and they pull up to the person with the parking and they say, here's your money. And we're like, this is ELKR. We don't want your money to park. This is ELKR. Welcome to our community. That would double or triple when they would go out into our community, to our vendors, to our hotels and places in our eateries. That sent a message and they felt very warm in our community. That was one of my best parts of maybe 6 years of working for that nonprofit. And we had fun, didn't we, Chris? A lot of fun. All right, now, the whole purpose of me being here was really to talk about Lexington House, and I want to share about it. Clubhouses. Clubhouses have been around since 1948. Lexington House has been around since 2020, and I'm putting an asterisk next to that. It actually was here way before that, late 70s, early 80s. There was an onset of it. Oaklawn, our community mental health center, which I just talked about, had a place downtown called Lexington House. How many people actually ate at the Lexington House back in the day? I knew you did. I just did. Because it was a great place to eat, wasn't it? I keep hearing it. God, what's your first name?
My first name is Shannon.
Shannon, you and I are going to be friends because that's what I keep hearing about the food that was served at Lexington House. And it was delicious, but it still had purpose because it was very much like a clubhouse. And when I did my homework, I found out that the people who worked there went to Thresholds in Chicago, which was one of the training sites in the late 70s and early 80s. Eventually, Oakland pulled it back to the 2600 site and they built their hospital and what have you, but they had a wing called Community Support Program. Little did I know this history because I became the Community Support Director around 2001, and I didn't know anything about clubhouses. What is that? What is a clubhouse? Didn't know about it. Don't want to know about it. What is a clubhouse? Well, a clubhouse is a place that has the platforms of, first of all, it's a supportive community. To be a member of the clubhouse, not that complicated. 18 or over, history of mental illness. You're in the club and you're in it for life. What it is not a social club. It is not a halfway place. It is a place that people can get their confidence back and resiliency rebuilt. How does that happen? My wife asked me that after I took on the job. She goes, what do you do for a living? Work at a place called Clubhouse. Well, members, and that's the people who join, they run the clubhouse. So I still didn't get the concept, and the best way to get the concept of a clubhouse is come visit us and you'll see it in action. I was talking to Judge Osterday over at the Aquatic Center. And this is about a year ago. She goes, Francis, you went off the grid for a while. I said, yeah, I did. I did some reconnaissance. I went and worked at the clubhouse in St. Joe County as a generalist because the best way to learn business is from the bottom up. So I went there and I learned, and I was blown away. I thought I knew what a clubhouse was. I wasn't until I was entrenched in it. And then I learned much. So I said, hey, we're standing in the Aquatic Center, which is a phenomenal building, by the way. I love going there. It's like you come here, there's simulators. There's different ways you can work out, but there's a golden thread for everybody who comes in here. Everybody wants to maintain or get better. Oh, so there's simulators. People can choose what they want to do, and they get better. And they have a common theme. So you can be training for an Ironman competition or a marathon over here, or you just want to get your cholesterol down. But at the end of the day, you're all at the Aquatic Center, and we're all in it together. That's a clubhouse. In 1948, a group of inpatient from Rockland State Hospital came down just north of Manhattan, and they went to the library steps, and they said, they don't get us, we got to stick together. How are we going to get back in the game? So they created a club called Wanans. We are not alone. I'd like you to hear that because that's a very important statement. We are not alone. That resonates in me because the first part of the clubhouse is just like we have here, we have fellowship. And if you've ever had the experience of being ill, physically, mentally, spiritually, all the above, there are sometimes indignities that go with it, and your family goes through it. When you go to clubhouse, there's no judgment. Everybody's kind of walked a similar path, so it's like going into the gym. Everybody in there got a common thing. There ain't no judgment. It's good stuff. So that's the first part of a clubhouse, is supportive community. Second part of a clubhouse is a work order day. What is that? All these whiteboards, my wife Betsy would say to me. I'm like, well, clubhouse is all voluntary. They being the members, run the club, and we are kind of sprinkled in the gaps as staff to make sure certain things get taken care of, like the keys and some of the finances, some bills get paid, those kind of deals. Make sense? So when I was at St. Joe County, my first day at club, I was sitting across from two college university graduates who are members, who could easily do much better on Quicken, which is the software, right, for bookkeeping. Trust me, not my gig. Remember, I'm a social worker. They're members and they're teaching me. So Clubhouse has arranged because mental health, brain health does not discriminate. So I'm like, okay, I get this. I've been in the business a very long time. I've seen what illness can really do to an individual and to families and communities at the highest degrees. And I've walked the path with their families. I've also had the opportunity to walk with people in recovery. And the Clubhouse is a recovery model. It's actually the first in the United States. So, okay, what do you do at a clubhouse? My wife would come back to me. That sounds great. Well, members gain confidence in taking on tasks of the day. So they can do everything from like running the software, our website, all our social media is not done by me or another staff or two. It's done by the members of the club. The majority of people who become members want to be members because they don't want to sit at home by themselves. Isolation, remember what I said, we are not alone? Pretty important piece because it incubates the illness, in my opinion. Coming out and joining other people like yourself really is a move it forward. Next part of the clubhouse, we have platforms, programs. I'm going to throw this out. I don't know if Karen and Jeff Pride will say anything to me. How many people know Label Logic, the business, right? We have partnered with them and we have members employed there. We also have members employed at Kroger. Part of a clubhouse is about getting people back in the game of life. And some of that work is through our transitional part of our employment, where we will go through application process. By the way, if you ever try to go online and get a job these days, it's not like back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. This Indeed thing and doing everything on the computer, it's very intimidating and very scary. However, having a supportive person to walk through and not do it for you, but walk with you. And that's what Club is. We work side by side. We also do not just the application with you. We'll go to orientation. We'll go to the interview. People get their confidence getting back into the workforce. Very significant. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm all in. I'm all in. I mean, I'm at the back half of my career, and I just want to live and work in wellness. I'm all out of the other part of the illness. That makes sense? So Clubhouse has a program for employment. The other part is education. Often the case is first episode is 18 through 25, major illness happens for people who have an underlying condition. That is one of the side pieces of COVID. We've learned about underlying condition. Well, if you have a family history of underlying condition, 18 through 25 often comes out. We have 1, 2, 3. We're in our infancy. We have 3 who are now part of the Excel program that Goodwill runs. They're on the other side of the building we share. And they're going back to finish up. They were in like 11th grade, a few credits short, 12th. They have gotten back in the game. We offer support that way. We also offer support and provide opportunity to do socials, to get out into the community. Give you a very good example, the 4-H fair of ELKR County. We had a hoot taking a van, going there for people who normally would not even get out of the house or their apartment because their anxiousness would not allow them or didn't want to interact with other people. We do socials on weekends, and we also do it during the work order day after 4:30. It is an opportunity to come together, to interact like you all are doing here with other people on this planet during our time. So there's some of the platforms for Clubhouse. Clubhouse 1948 is when it really started out. Today, there is about 330 clubhouses around the world. There's 220 in the United States. Approximately in the great state of Indiana, there are 11. In ELKR County, there are 2. What does that say about our community? Well, I'm going to tell you what it says about our community. Back in September last year, we were on a Zoom call with a Clubhouse faculty member. I'm going to talk about Clubhouse International in a minute. And the first question from Serge, it's the name of the gentleman, he's from Finland. He says, so I got a question for you. Serge is really very interesting man. I got to know some of his history. Why are you opening a business in the middle of a pandemic? First question out of his mouth. And I didn't blink. Couldn't be a better time. And this is Elkhart, Indiana. I have no doubt it will be successful. We started off with around 4K, little seed money from our steering committee and grassroots committee, incubating it for about 2 years prior. We finished out in 21 with the budget around 92K. We have a 252K budget for this year. Our finances are through grants and private donation. That allows us to keep a good, clear vision of what our purpose is, rather than the process of paperwork. Does that make sense? We have approximately 77 members of the club, and we have an average attendance daily around 8. So that means every day, 8 people are using that club. That does not include the people who are doing part-time work or going to school. We're growing. Okay. I'm going to pause. Any quick question, because I want to be sensitive to time. It's 12:53. I want to make sure I hit points that people want to maybe have a quick question or two. If not, I'm going to talk and finish it out really quick about Clubhouse International. So let me tell you about the pride of, oh, yes, sir.
Do you have any counseling or any part of suicide prevention? That's so much news today.
Sure.
Young woman.
So we do not do clinical work. However, what I can tell you is this, and again, I don't want to devalue that, what you just asked. I would say, because we have a community mental health center like in Oakland, those places would be the best. One more time, sir. Your question about suicide prevention and therapy around that, or counseling. I would definitely defer to a place like Oakland. What I can tell you is this, Clubhouse International, first part, is the governing body of these 320, 220, 11 clubhouses I just talked about. You go through an accreditation process where evidence-based program, that means it's been shown that it works, and not just shown, there's evidence that shows that it works. It's people back into the game of life. Clubhouse International started doing accreditations in '92. Only 3 clubhouses on record have received accreditation within 1 year or less. Okay, 330 clubhouses around the world, only 3. One is in Finland. The other 2 are in ELKR County. Our clubhouse did it with 3 days to spare because there are 37 standards. Again, when I go back to my friend Serge, I say this is ELKR. This is not me. This is ELKR, our community. We are a very proud group of people. We figure things out and we move it forward. Clubhouse International invited us to be part of something in February. We joined 23 other clubhouses around the world to be ambassadors. I mean, these are some big hitters. I mean, out of Australia, Germany, New York City, Utah, ELKR, Indiana is among that group. Your community, my community. We are in our infancy state. We have a long way to go. Where are you, by the way? Good question. Thank you. The question is, we're at 2626 Prairie Street, the River of Life Church. If you have never been there, they have launched multiple nonprofits, by the way. Pastor Janet Cook and their congregation are just wonderful, wonderful hosts to us. We do not plan to stay there. It's like a nursery, I tell people. We're moving on. Okay? We have our sites to move on into the community where we can meet closer to people that we work with. Would like to do a quick shout out to one of our big partners, because without them, we don't move it forward. In August of 2020, when we said, all right, we're all in, we hired an executive director and we have no money to pay. Great, he's willing to work pro bono. Right, I'm a social worker. They saw me coming, big tag. So we said, let's do a grant. Hey, Community Foundation, ELKR County. Oh, let's do a challenge grant. That means raise it, you get it, right? It's not easy. You have to be vetted. Community Foundation, they're the gold standard. Well, they came back and they said to myself and Rich Meyer, the other director, yeah, we're going to give you these grants for 3 years. Raise $100,000 in the middle of the pandemic. And by the way, you're still a pending nonprofit and you really don't have much going on. We're with you. ELKR, Indiana, from November 1st to April 27th, we raised $110,000. Okay? We're on our 2nd year of our challenge grant. And we're looking at the 3rd. That is power to the board, power to the Community Foundation, and United Way, who I've been writing grants a good chunk of my professional life. We get a nice grant to United Way for $25K, right? Nice. They sent us back $37.5. They did their homework on Clubhouse. Paved the way by Cordell House, AKA County Clubhouse. All right, so it's almost 1 o'clock. I can talk forever on Clubhouse. Any other quick questions about it? Was this helpful? Yes, sir. All the way in the back. And by the way, your jokes, but
And your website is
lexingtonhouse.org. Pardon?
for people to find out other information.
Absolutely. Thank you for pulling that out. I will leave our business cards, by the way. Clubhouse, I don't got business cards. We have colleague club cards, and it has all our social media in a piece. Please go check us out. We do a newsletter called The Ledger. It's very informative, and for someone who reads but doesn't write very well, we have some good writers from the club. Gives you our footprints. Any other quick questions? All right, so before everybody gets up, was this worth your time? I mean, thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. And by the way, really quickly, I know everyone will appreciate this. I'm going to share my screen and pull up really quickly ELKR Rotary Club, elkrrotary.org, excuse me. And on that elkrrotary.org page, you will see on the right-hand side, if you're on a PC and if you're on your phone, it'll just be a long list, but it's down toward the bottom. There is a tab called Our Club's History under the About Our Club area. And sure enough, right there, authored by Mr. Shannon White, a brief history of our club. And I'm not going to talk about the briefness of it as I scroll down, but Francis, I do want to point out one near here at the bottom, because it was one of the last major projects that this club did. This club founded Wellfield Botanic Gardens. And amazing project of which some of us in this room are beneficiaries of that. And the whole community wins. We always like to give our guests a little something, and I've got a couple passes here for you to come back. Wait till the weather gets nicer. You're welcome. And please talk to me. I'd love to give you a tour around. I really appreciate you coming out today. I really appreciate everyone being so engaged, both in the room and online. Anthony, thank you for the jokes. Thank you for raising a little money. Andrew, thanks for checking everybody in. Brian, thanks a lot for the opening. And Rotary's adjourned. Go out and make our community a better place.